Only on 7 News doing away with ankle monitoring bracelets like this. That's just one of the options the state may consider to address problems within the Department of Corrections. Call 7 investigator Theresa Marchetta continues to dig for answers. Theresa lawmakers now demanding change.
And we're getting an idea of what that change might look like. I'm not just talking about tweaking a few policies. The Department of Corrections is attempting what amounts to a 180-degree turn in philosophy that will impact every employee and inmate in the state. One state agency is already doing it, Colorado's Probation Division.
It's not a quick process.
Eric Philp started transforming the state's probation division in 2008, using research and intensive studies as the basis for changing the way officers, supervisors, everyone in probation thinks about and does their job.
We have really historically talked about compliance with terms and conditions, so what the court orders, and just making sure that there's compliance with that, which is fine while they're under supervision, and we still do that. But what we've added onto that really is around this behavior change.
Eileen Kinney is helping Philp implement across-the-board practices that focus on changing criminal behavior through treatment instead of punishment.
What are those behaviors that need to get changed that's going to reduce the probability that someone's going to get re-involved in criminal behavior? And that's a big shift.
A huge paradigm shift for anyone working in the courts and corrections. Philp simplifies it like this. Historically, only a small amount of time was spent assessing the criminal's needs and behavior. A case plan is created with the majority of the focus on supervision. Probation has now inverted that pyramid, placing the largest share on assessing the individual and tailoring a plan to help change their behavior. Supervision, while still critical, is as minimal as necessary. The relationship between the officer and probationer becomes the most critical component.
That is huge, and that's really about empathy and developing trust and having integrity and warmth and genuineness.
Officers receive training in motivational interviewing techniques and get proactive, constant coaching by their supervisors.
The research shows that punishment is the least effective way to change behavior. So, consequences, oftentimes, I think most people hear consequences in a very negative kind of sense, so we don't so much talk about consequences.
Was it awkward for you to be doing a presentation before state legislators about what you're doing right when the subject is what another agency is doing wrong?
But we've worked closely with parole for years, okay? They have many of the same challenges that we do. So what was awkward about it was I didn't want to be put in a position where it was like, here's a bright shining light and here's complete darkness.
Those hearings in September called after our Call 7 investigations uncovered failures in the parole division. Parolee Evan Ebel's ankle monitor alerts ignored as he murdered the former Department of Corrections chief and a father of 3.
It's not foolproof technology. It doesn't prevent crimes.
Philp believes ankle monitors like the one Ebel was wearing are overrated.
I think the public thinks oftentimes that that's going to prevent crime. And that's not been my experience in 30 years in this business.
She was really, really good and really passionate at her job and towards me.
Hans Billner says the new approach works. I talked with him on Skype. He says his first time on probation was filled with threats and he eventually reoffended, but he successfully completed probation and started college when an officer talked with him like this.
I just want to do whatever it takes to get you through this. You have to pull your own weight, but she gave me the right tools to succeed rather than just trying to find anything to get someone screwed over.
For the public, I would say, seeing that those crime rates are holding steady, not getting worse, and potentially going down in some cases, that tells us that some of this is working.
And now the hope is what works for probation might also work with felons on parole.
I have confidence that we will work together, as we always have worked together on a variety of these things.
It's too soon yet for probation to have hard numbers on how well their new approach is working. But in Washington state, which has a similar approach, they've reduced the number of probation violators by 1,000 a year. I'm Call 7 investigator Theresa Marchetta.